Hello, I'm Virginia, and here with me today is Has from Right Clinic, my fellow business partner and fellow pharmacist and freelance medical writer. Thank you for coming here today, Has.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Great. It's great, really great to have you here, especially over seeing you as a digital nomad and following your journey on LinkedIn and building Right Clinic with you. So, what do you do for our audience?
So I am a freelance medical writer, Virginia said. I was a pharmacist, and then I transitioned into medical writing rather unconventionally. I worked as a freelancer initially for a couple of years, working with various independent brands and working with healthcare marketing agencies from around the world, be it Australia or America. And eventually, through freelancing, I managed to land a full time role with a medical writing agency, a healthcare communications agency in the UK. I worked with them for a year, and until the past couple of weeks, which redundancy happened, and I have since decided to carry my freelance medical writing career forward and see where I go from there.
Brilliant. Sorry to hear about your redundancy. I was also made redundant a couple of weeks ago by coincidence. So definitely could empathize. How do you find freelancing? What are your favorite things about it?
Freelancing is incredible because I live as a digital nomad. And to those who don't know what that means, it means I live and work anywhere I want in the world. Got into it again rather weirdly because I got stuck in Indonesia during the pandemic. I didn't really know what to do with myself. I was running out of money because the NHS doesn't really pay you that much. My savings were draining pretty quickly. I then met my now partner, who is a writer and who got me to think about medical writing and get into it. And from there, I kept going and I figured out that I could earn money whilst living anywhere I wanted, including in paradise, which was Bali at the time. So I decided, this is the kind of lifestyle that I want. After coming back to the UK and locoming for a little bit, just to see whether or not I wanted to go back to pharmacy, I quickly realized that, like I wanted to live in nice tropical islands and somewhere else around the world. So I shifted my focus and made sure I completely focused on medical writing, just to make sure that was, what my career was. That's how I defined myself as a medical writer, not as a pharmacist. So that's why I love freelancing. I can work with my own clients. I can be my own boss. I can work my own hours. I could just say I don't want to work on Monday, and I will not work on Monday. I could just say I want to work 3 hours on Tuesday, and I can work 3 hours on Tuesday. I can say, oh, this client, I don't like who they are or what their values are, and their message doesn't align with mine. So I will say, cool, I'm not going to work with them, and it's fantastic in that way because I can work with really different industry leaders as well. Because you can, like, I really wanted to work with Gymshark, just because I think they're such a cool brand, and there was probably no chance of me getting in as a full time employee at Gymshark because as a pharmacist, there's not really much integration. But as a writer, there is. And after reaching out to a few people and getting recognized for the work I do, I now work for them as a freelance medical writer, which I think is really cool. And it's not something that I could have done otherwise. So, yeah, freelancing is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love the flexibility and the ability to kind of choose who you want to work with and then also how much you work and kind of integrate with lots of different brands. And it must be a really great learning experience. So, what are like the three top things that you've learned from being a freelancer?
Most importantly was how to manage my finances. Coming from the NHS, as I said before, salaries aren't that great. So your finances usually include getting paid, paying your rent, and then saving 100 quid. Whereas as a freelancer, it's a very lucrative kind of career path, especially once you figure out exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I guess being able to be more financially independent in a way that I can save a lot more money, and be able to finally achieve things in life, like certain milestones that were otherwise inhibited because of my finances. So that's probably my favorite thing. Secondly, was obviously the freedom and flexibility of doing what I want to do. So my parents, they live in Dubai. I was living in the UK. My brother lives in the UK, and seeing family and seeing friends was previously difficult because of annual leave. But now as a freelancer, I can just pack up my bag and book a flight for tomorrow, and just work wherever my parents are or my brother is. So that's also another just absolutely wonderful thing. And thirdly, which is kind of weird, but community. A lot of people think freelancers are lonely people who just work by themselves. But the way I do it is I work in co-working spaces and cafes, and on LinkedIn I reached out to a lot of freelancers. So I make a lot of friends in the sort of freelance community, and the best thing is I make a lot of friends from people in different industries. So my conversations at work, which is in the co-working space, are not boring because they're like, if anyone knows me well, they know I don't like talking about work in work, and I don't like I don't usually make like small talk in work because like the last thing I want to do is talk about work. So, but in the co-working space, I get to talk to people about their work, and it's always different, and I learn so much from it, and I love that.
That's brilliant. It's really nice to hear that you don't feel so isolated and you're constantly networking and learning from other industries because I think, a writer can't really work alone. You're always going to be working with designer, developer, a project manager, that kind of thing. So it's really good to still get that experience as a freelancer as well, even through networking and co-working spaces. And I wanted to ask you what country you're in right now and what's the next one you're going to.
Currently in Spain, we're just in Seville, and this time we're actually on holiday. As I mentioned before, the redundancy wasn't that long ago, and despite being a digital nomad and living on holiday, you never actually give yourself a full holiday. So I'm just actually having a holiday this week. Like we're in a nice resort with a pool, and I'm like, you know what? I'm actually just gonna enjoy myself and read, and just do just do nice things. So we're in Spain just for this week, and then yeah, go to Italy next week. See my family before my partner and I we move to Lisbon, which is going to be our next digital nomad destination. Um, we've heard it's quite a hotspot. We've had a lot of recommendations, so we're excited to check it out.
Brilliant. And so what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, next up, I'm just going to be focusing more on my freelance career. I realized that working full time, you kind of the progress is limited, particularly if you're working for a smaller company. And the industry is really competitive right now. Like when you're looking to apply for a job, you always see on LinkedIn like 300 plus applicants, and it's like it's pretty crazy because as a pharmacist, that was never the case. As a pharmacist, you're the only applicant, and like they're like, yeah, cool, I'll have you. So, and it becomes quite stressful. But as a freelancer, you kind of establish your own presence. You kind of establish yourself as the good medical writer that you are, and getting clients becomes actually easier than landing a full time job, and more lucrative. So I'm going to be focusing on that, and I'm going to be like sort of sharing my journey alongside it as well, because a lot of people in my network on LinkedIn are, because people are struggling. Like freelancing is not easy at all. It's difficult to maintain those networks and actually find the clients and retain the clients. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and share my journey of what I do, not how I do it, just what I do. Um, and hopefully people in my network can sort of appreciate what I am doing to kind of get my income back to where makes me happy. Um, and by doing that, it just means I'm going to be able to focus more on the type of clients I want to work with. I've set out some guidelines for myself to follow to reach out to clients I actually want to work with, and that's what I'm going to be trying to follow. I'm going to be using all the same methods that we actually teach at Right Clinic, so it's just going to be me being transparent and kind of encouraging others to, realize what we teach is, can be applied in real life. So everything I will be posting about, I'll be referencing too.
Cool, amazing. So do you want to share your top tip for finding freelance clients?
Ooh, my favorite one right now is actually looking at new startup companies because there are startups coming out every week. Some of them are great, some of them flop for different reasons, but I like to look at the ones which have recently received funding. So like I usually type in like on Google, I'll type in like Serie A, and I'll type in the industry that I want to look at. So whether it's femtech, for example. So so you can type in Serie A femtech, and you'll usually get a list of news articles of like the recent femtech companies that have come about, and you can read about them and what they do and what financing they've just secured. And the ones that recently secured financing and probably are on the stages of marketing, you can try and reach out to, find them on LinkedIn, find out if they have a marketing director, connect with the director of the company, and just see if they need any help. And it's quite a fantastic way to join in. And if the startup does really well, then you're in for a lucrative journey.
Brilliant. That's a really great strategy. I'm going to leave some links in the description box below so you can connect with Hass and myself and also follow us on Right Clinic. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, it's completely free. And we will see you at the next episode. Bye.
Thank you very much.